When Elon Musk opened a cream-colored wedding invitation, his hands started shaking. The gold letters read, "Catalina Rivera and Marlon Thornhill request your presence at their wedding." Catalina, his first love, the woman he lost 25 years ago, the woman he never stopped thinking about. Most people would throw away an invitation like that. Who wants to watch the love of their life marry someone else? But Elon booked a plane ticket to Vancouver that same day. At the wedding, surrounded by mountains and flowers, Elon sat in the back row. His heart pounded as Catalina walked down the aisle in a beautiful white dress. She looked stunning. But then Elon noticed something that made his breath stop. On her wrist, under her sleeve, was a bracelet. A circuit board bracelet he had made for her 35 years ago when they were poor college students. She kept it. After all these years, she still wore it. The ceremony began. The groom stood waiting. Catalina's hands trembled as she held her bouquet. The officiant started talking about love and commitment. Then came the moment that changed everything. If anyone objects to this union, speak now or forever hold your peace. Silence filled the garden. 200 guests held their breath. And then Elon Musk stood up. Gasps echoed through the crowd. Catalina's eyes went wide. The groom looked shocked. Everyone stared at the billionaire standing in the back row. "I object," Elon said, his voice shaking. But what happened next? Did Catalina choose Elon or her groom? And what secret from their past was about to be revealed that would shock everyone at that wedding? Watch this entire video to find out how a college romance, a terrible misunderstanding, and one brave moment changed everything. Because this love story has a twist nobody saw coming. Not even Elon Musk himself. Elon Musk stared at the cream-colored envelope on his desk. His hands shook as he picked it up. The gold letters sparkled under the office lights at SpaceX headquarters. "Catalina Rivera and Marlon Thornhill request the honor of your presence." He didn't need to read more. The words blurred as memories flooded his mind. Catalina. After 25 years of silence, she was getting married. "Mr. Musk, are you okay?" His assistant Margot stood in the doorway, concern written on her face. Elon quickly wiped his eyes. "I'm fine. Just, an old friend is getting married." Margot knew better than to ask questions. In 10 years of working for him, she'd never seen him look so broken. "Do you need anything?" "No, thank you, Margot." His voice came out as a whisper. When she left, Elon opened his desk drawer. Inside was a faded photograph. A younger version of himself smiled at the camera, his arm around a beautiful girl with dark hair and bright eyes. Catalina looked happy. They both did. That was 1990, Queen's University. A lifetime ago. He remembered the first time he saw her. She'd spilled coffee on his physics textbook in the library. Most people would have apologized and walked away. But Catalina laughed. A warm, genuine sound that made his heart skip. She'd helped him clean up, and they talked for 3 hours about stars and dreams and changing the world. She was the only person who ever really understood him, the only one who didn't think his ideas were crazy. When everyone else called him strange, she called him brilliant. "Your strangeness is your superpower, Elon," she used to say. "Never lose it." But he'd lost her instead. Elon picked up his phone and almost called his mother. May would tell him not to go. She'd say it would only bring pain. But his finger hovered over another number, his private pilot. "Book a flight to Vancouver," he said when the pilot answered. "Tomorrow morning." "For how long, sir?" "Just the weekend." Just long enough to watch the woman he'd never stopped loving marry someone else. After hanging up, Elon researched Marlon Thornhill, environmental lawyer, Harvard graduate, respected in his field, kind eyes in his photos. Exactly the type of stable but dependable man Catalina deserved. Everything Elon hadn't been when she needed him most. He looked at the invitation again. The wedding was in 3 days, in Whistler, British Columbia, a mountain resort. Catalina always loved the mountains. Elon stood and walked to the window. Outside, rockets stood ready for their next launch. He'd built empires, changed industries, made the impossible real. But none of it mattered without her. He whispered to the empty office, knowing it was foolish, knowing it might destroy him. She deserves to know the truth, even if it's too late. The invitation sat on his desk like a ticking bomb. In 3 days, he would face his past. In 3 days, everything might change. Or nothing would change at all. The memories wouldn't stop coming. Elon sat alone in his office long after everyone had gone home. For the city lights of Los Angeles twinkled below, but his mind was in Canada, 1990. He was 19 years old again, awkward, lonely, brilliant, but lost. Queen's University in Kingston, Ontario, felt like another planet. Students gathered in groups, laughing and talking easily. Elon walked alone between classes, his head full of ideas nobody wanted to hear. Physics equations made sense. People didn't. Then came that September afternoon in the library. Elon had claimed his usual spot in the corner, surrounded by books about rocket science and physics. He was so focused on his work that he didn't notice the girl approaching until... splash! Hot coffee spread across his precious textbook. Brown liquid soaked into pages about thermodynamics. "Oh no! Oh my gosh! I'm so sorry!" Elon looked up, ready to be angry. But the words died in his throat. She was beautiful. Dark hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. Brown eyes wide with horror. She wore a green sweater and jeans, and she was already grabbing napkins from her bag. "I'm such a klutz," she said, dabbing at the book. "I was reading while walking. Stupid, I know. Please let me buy you a new book." It's okay," Elon stammered. His cheeks burned red. "It's not okay. I just destroyed your textbook." She looked at the cover. Advanced Thermodynamics. Wow, you must be really smart. Nobody had ever called him smart like it was a good thing. "I'm Catalina," she said, extending her coffee-free hand. Catalina Rivera, environmental science major and apparently a walking disaster. "Elon Musk." He shook her hand, surprised by how warm it felt. "Well, Elon Musk, I owe you a coffee and a textbook. Can I start with the coffee?" That's how it began. One spilled coffee led to 3 hours of conversation. Catalina was supposed to meet friends. Elon was supposed to study. Instead, they talked until the library closed. She told him about growing up in Mexico City, about wanting to save the planet, about her passion for climate science. He told her about South Africa, about his dreams of Mars, about changing the world through technology. "Most people think I'm crazy," Elon admitted, as they walked across campus that evening. "Most people have small dreams," Catalina replied. "Your dreams are huge. That's not crazy. That's brave." Something in Elon's chest loosened. For the first time in his life, someone understood. They became inseparable. Study sessions in the library, late-night walks discussing impossible ideas. Catalina introduced him to her friends, helped him learn to smile more, taught him that being different could be wonderful. One cold November night, they climbed onto the roof of the science building. Elon had built a makeshift telescope from spare parts. He wanted to show Catalina the stars. "That's Jupiter," he said, adjusting the lens. See those bright spots? Those are its moons. Catalina looked through the telescope, then at him. You built this yourself? It's not perfect, but it's amazing, Elon. You're amazing. Nobody had ever looked at him the way she did in that moment, like he was something precious. Catalina, He didn't know how to say what he felt. Words failed him. She understood anyway. She always did. Their first kiss tasted like winter air and possibility. When they pulled apart, Elon was shaking. I've never felt this way about anyone, he whispered. Neither have I, she said, taking his hand. We're going to change the world together, Elon Musk. You and me. He believed her. For 2 beautiful years, he believed every word. They spent countless hours together, building things, dreaming, planning futures that seemed impossible but felt inevitable when she smiled at him. Catalina was his anchor to Earth, while his mind explored the stars. Promise me something, she said one spring evening as they lay in the grass watching clouds. Anything. Promise you'll never stop dreaming, even when people doubt you, even when things get hard. Promise me you'll keep reaching for the impossible. I promise, Elon said, as long as you're with me. Always, Catalina whispered. I'll always be with you. But that promise, like so many others, it had been broken. Elon opened his eyes, back in his office in 2026. His phone showed 2 a.m. The photograph of young Catalina still sat on his desk, her smile frozen in time. He'd kept every promise except the one that mattered most. The memory of their last conversation haunted him. Her tears, his cowardice, the way she'd looked at him like he was a stranger. I can't wait forever, Elon, she'd said. I can't be second to your dreams. He'd chosen wrong. He'd let her walk away. Now she was marrying someone else, and Elon finally understood what he'd lost. Everything. The private jet climbed through the clouds toward Vancouver. Elon sat alone in the leather seat, staring at his phone. Outside, the sky turned from black to deep blue as dawn approached. He scrolled through photos he'd never deleted. Pictures hidden in a folder marked Q for Queens, for the life he'd left behind. There was Catalina laughing at something he'd said. Catalina asleep on his shoulder in the library. Catalina holding the circuit board he'd made into a bracelet for her birthday, because he was too poor to buy real jewelry. You made this for me? She'd asked, tears in her eyes. It's stupid, I know. I should have bought you something nice. Elon, this is the most beautiful thing anyone has ever given me. You made it with your own hands. She'd worn it every day after that. Did she still have it? Probably not. She'd probably thrown it away, along with everything else that reminded her of him. His phone buzzed. A text from his mother. Are you sure about this, Elon? Going to her wedding might hurt too much. May had been the only person who knew the whole truth. She'd held him when he cried after Catalina left. She'd watched him throw himself into his work, trying to forget. He typed back, I have to go, Mom. I need to see her one more time. Then speak your truth, my son. You've been silent for too long. Elon set down his phone and pulled out his laptop. He'd researched Marlon Thornhill obsessively for the past 2 days. The man was accomplished, successful, good-looking in a clean-cut way that Elon had never managed. Marlon had started a non-profit helping communities fight climate change. He'd won awards, written articles, done real good in the world. Of course Catalina loved him. Marlon was stable, present, everything Elon hadn't been. The flight attendant brought coffee. Elon couldn't drink it. His stomach churned with anxiety. What was he doing? Flying to Vancouver to watch the woman he loved marry someone else? This was insane. He should turn the plane around. But his hands gripped the armrests, and he said nothing. He thought about the past 25 years. After Catalina, he'd thrown himself into work with desperate intensity. PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX. Each success felt hollow without her to share it with. He'd dated other people, even married, twice. But nobody ever filled the Catalina-shaped hole in his heart. Nobody understood him the way she had. Nobody looked at his impossible dreams and said, "Yes, let's do that together." 3 hours into the flight, Elon opened his notes app. He started typing. "Dear Catalina, I know I have no right to say this. I know I'm 25 years too late, but I need you to know." He deleted it. Started again. "Cat, I've rehearsed this speech 1,000 times. I've imagined what I'd say if I ever saw you again. But now all the words feel wrong. Delete. I'm sorry. That's all I can say. I'm sorry for everything. Delete." How do you summarize 25 years of regret in a few paragraphs? How do you explain that every rocket launch, every breakthrough, every impossible goal achieved was driven by the need to become someone worthy of a second chance? He gave up and closed the laptop. The jet descended toward Vancouver. Mountains rose up to meet them, snow-capped and magnificent. Catalina had always loved mountains. She said they reminded her that some things were bigger than human problems. "When I'm stressed," she told him once, "I imagine I'm a mountain, solid, unshakable. I'm standing for thousands of years while little problems blow past like wind." "You're not unshakable, though," Elon had said. "You're warm. You're human. That's what I love about you." She'd kissed him then. "And you're not cold and distant like you pretend to be. You feel everything so deeply it scares you." She'd seen right through him. She always had. The plane landed. Elon checked into his hotel in Whistler. The wedding was tomorrow. He had 24 hours to decide what to do. Walk away? Attend silently? Speak up? That night, he stood on his hotel balcony, looking at the stars. The same stars he'd shown Catalina through his homemade telescope all those years ago. Jupiter still had its moons. The constellations hadn't changed. But everything else had. Elon pulled the wedding invitation from his pocket. His finger traced Catalina's name. "What if she's been waiting for me to fight for her all along?" he whispered to the darkness. But that was foolish, narcissistic. She'd moved on. She'd found happiness with Marlon. She'd built a life without him. Still, something nagged at him. A memory. Their last phone call, 3 months after she'd left him. He'd finally gotten her number from a mutual friend. "Please, Kat, just talk to me. Let me explain." "There's nothing to explain, Elon. You made your choice." "I chose wrong. I know that now. I was scared and stupid and I can't do this." Her voice had been thick with tears. "I can't keep hoping you'll change. I have to move on." "Do you still love me?" Silence. Then, "That's the worst part." "I do. But love isn't enough when you're always going to choose everything else over me." The line had gone dead. He'd written her letters for a year after that. Poured his heart onto pages. Never got a single response. Eventually, he stopped trying. But he never stopped loving her. Now, standing under the stars in Whistler, Elon made a decision. Tomorrow, he would attend the wedding. He would watch her marry Marlon. And before she said, "I do," he would stand up. He would object. Even if she rejected him in front of everyone. Even if it humiliated him. Even if it changed nothing. She deserved to know that she'd never been second. that she'd always been first, that every success, every achievement, every dream fulfilled had been an attempt to become the man she'd deserved all along. Elon went inside and tried to sleep, but all he could see was Catalina's face. All he could hear was her voice saying, "I can't wait forever, Elon." 25 years wasn't forever, but it was close. The morning sun painted the mountains gold. Elon stood in his hotel room, struggling with his tie. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. In 3 hours, Catalina would walk down the aisle. In 3 hours, everything would either change or end forever. He'd barely slept. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her face. Young Catalina laughing in the library. Older Catalina in his imagination, walking toward another man. His phone showed dozens of missed messages, work emergencies, board meetings, a rocket test scheduled for Monday. None of it mattered. Elon gave up on the tie and left it hanging loose. He looked terrible anyway. Dark circles under his eyes, face pale with anxiety. Not exactly the image of a man ready to fight for his lost love. The drive to the resort took 30 minutes. Elon's driver navigated mountain roads while Elon stared out the window, not seeing anything. "Beautiful day for a wedding, sir," the driver said cheerfully. Elon didn't respond. His throat felt tight. The resort appeared around a bend. It was stunning. Gardens full of flowers, a courtyard with a fountain, mountains rising behind it like ancient witnesses. Catalina would have chosen something exactly like this. Guests were already arriving, well-dressed people laughing and hugging. Elon recognized no one. He was a ghost from Catalina's past, uninvited, but here anyway. Wait, the invitation said he was invited. But why? Why would she invite him after 25 years of silence? He walked through the gardens, staying on the edges. A tent had been set up with chairs facing a flower-covered arch. The ceremony would happen there, outdoors, with the mountains watching. "Elon!" He turned. A woman in a burgundy dress stared at him with wide eyes. She looked familiar, but older. Then he remembered Sophia Chen, Catalina's roommate from university. "Sophia, hi!" His voice came out rough. "I can't believe you came." She looked shocked. "Does Kat know you're here? She invited me." What?" Sophia's mouth fell open. "She didn't tell me that. I don't think she told anyone that." They stood in awkward silence. Sophia had never liked Elon much. She'd been there when Catalina came home crying. She'd helped Catalina pack up and leave Kingston. "Look," Sophia said carefully, "I don't know what you're doing here, but today is Kat's day. She's happy. Marlon is good to her. Please don't what? Ruin it." Elon's laugh was bitter. "I ruined everything 25 years ago, Sophia. I know that." Sophia's expression softened slightly. "You broke her heart, Elon. It took her years to recover. Years. I know." "Do you? Do you really know what you did to her?" Before Elon could answer, music started playing. Guests began moving toward their seats. Sophia touched his arm, her voice gentle now. "Sit in the back. Watch her be happy. Then leave. That's the kindest thing you can do." She walked away toward the front rows. Elon stood frozen. Then he saw her. Catalina emerged from the resort building, surrounded by bridesmaids. She wore a simple white dress that flowed like water. Her dark hair was swept up with small flowers woven through it. She looked like a dream. Their eyes met across the garden. Everything stopped. The guests, the music, the world, all of it faded. There was only Catalina, staring at him like she'd seen a ghost. Her hand flew to her throat, to her neck. No, to something at her neck. Elon squinted. Was that the bracelet? the circuit board bracelet he'd made her in 1991. She was wearing it. His heart stopped. A bridesmaid whispered something to Catalina. She blinked, looked away, and the moment shattered. The world came rushing back with sound and color and movement. Catalina disappeared into a side building. Guests found their seats. Elon walked to the back row on shaking legs and sat down. She was wearing his bracelet on her wedding day. She was marrying another man while wearing the bracelet Elon had made her 35 years ago. What did it mean? 10 minutes passed. 15. The guests whispered and checked their phones. The groom, Marlon, appeared at the altar looking nervous but happy. He was tall, dark-haired, handsome, kind eyes, exactly like his photos. Elon hated him. No, he couldn't hate him. Marlon had done nothing wrong except love Catalina. That wasn't a crime. That was completely understandable. The music changed. The wedding was starting. Bridesmaids walked down the aisle in burgundy dresses. A flower girl scattered petals. Everything was perfect and beautiful and wrong. Then came the moment Elon had been dreading. The music swelled. Everyone stood. And Catalina appeared at the end of the aisle. She was breathtaking. The mountain sun lit her from behind like an angel. She held a bouquet of white roses with trembling hands. She started walking. Each step brought her closer to Marlon, closer to a life without Elon, closer to forever. Elon watched, his chest tight with pain. This was it. This was goodbye. In minutes, she would belong to someone else completely. But as she walked, Catalina's eyes found his again. And this time, they didn't look away. She walked down the aisle staring at Elon, not at her groom. Tears shone in her eyes. Her steps slowed. Marlon noticed. He followed her gaze to the back row, to Elon. Understanding crossed Marlon's face. Then something else. Resignation? Sadness? Catalina reached the altar. The officiant smiled and began speaking about love and commitment and choosing each other every day. Elon couldn't hear the words. Blood rushed in his ears. His whole body felt electric with fear and hope and desperate longing. Catalina stood beside Marlon, but she kept glancing back at Elon, and the bracelet on her wrist caught the light. The ceremony continued. Readings about love. A poem about mountains and roots and growing together. Then came the vows. Marlon spoke first. His voice was steady and warm. Catalina, you are my best friend, my partner, my home. I promise to support your dreams, to laugh with you, to be patient when things are hard. I promise to choose you every day for the rest of my life. Beautiful words, true words. Marlon meant everyone. Now it was Catalina's turn. She opened her mouth, closed it, looked at Marlon with tears streaming down her face. She started. Her voice broke. The officiant waited. The guests waited. Marlon waited. Catalina looked back at Elon one more time. Their eyes locked. And Elon knew. In that moment, he knew he couldn't stay silent. The officiant moved on. If anyone objects to this union, speak now or forever, hold your peace. Silence filled the garden. This was it. His last chance. His only chance. Elon's heart hammered against his ribs. Forever hold your peace. He thought of Catalina crying when he left her, of 25 years of regret, of the bracelet on her wrist, of the way she'd looked at him just now, like she was drowning and he was air. Forever hold your peace. No, he couldn't. Elon stood up, every head turned. 200 guests stared at Elon as he stood in the back row, his heart pounding so hard he thought it might explode. Catalina gasped. Her bouquet trembled in her hands. Marlon's face went pale. What? The officiant looked confused. "Sir, did you want to say something?" Elon's mouth was dry. He'd imagined this moment 1,000 times on the flight here. He'd rehearsed words, planned speeches, prepared arguments. But now, standing here with everyone staring, his mind went blank. His voice cracked. He cleared his throat. "I object." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Someone gasped. Sophia stood up from the front row, her face furious. "Elon, sit down," she hissed. But he couldn't. Not now. Not after 25 years of silence. "I'm sorry," Elon said, louder now. He stepped into the aisle. "I'm sorry to everyone here. I'm sorry, Marlon. I know I have no right. But Catalina..." He started walking toward the altar. Guests whispered behind their hands. Some looked angry. Others looked fascinated, like they were watching a movie. Catalina stood frozen, her face a mixture of shock and something else. Hope? Fear? Elon couldn't tell. Marlon found his voice. Who are you?" "He's no one," Sophia said quickly. "Just an old friend who needs to leave." "I'm not no one." Elon kept walking, his eyes locked on Catalina. "My name is Elon Musk. Catalina and I went to university together. We were in love." "That was 35 years ago," Sophia protested. 25 years since we last spoke," Elon corrected. He was halfway down the aisle now. "But it feels like yesterday. It feels like every day since." Marlon stepped forward, his jaw tight. "Mr. Musk, I don't know what you think you're doing, but..." "Cat." Elon ignored Marlon completely. He was 10 feet from the altar now, close enough to see the tears on Catalina's face. "I need to tell you something. I should have said it 25 years ago." "Elon, don't." Catalina's voice was barely a whisper. "Please don't do this." "I have to." He stopped at the base of the altar steps. "I can't let you marry him without knowing the truth." The officiant backed away, clearly out of his depth. Marlon looked between Elon and Catalina, confusion and hurt warring on his face. "What truth?" Marlon demanded. "Cat, what is he talking about?" Catalina couldn't speak. She stared at Elon with wide eyes, shaking her head slightly, begging him to stop. But Elon had stayed silent for too long. 25 years ago, Elon began, his voice stronger now. "You told me I had to choose between you and my dreams, between us and my future. You said you couldn't be second place anymore." "Stop," Catalina whispered. "I told you I was leaving for Stanford. I told you I had to go, had to pursue my goals. I made it sound like you were holding me back." Elon's voice broke. "But that was a lie." The garden was completely silent now. Even the birds seemed to have stopped singing. "The truth is, I was terrified," Elon continued. "Terrified of how much I loved you. Terrified that if I stayed, if I let myself need you, I would lose myself completely. I thought I had to choose between love and ambition, between you and changing the world." A tear rolled down his cheek. He didn't wipe it away. "I chose wrong, Kat. I chose wrong, and I've regretted it every single day since." Catalina's shoulders shook with silent sobs. Her bridesmaid reached for her, but Catalina waved her away. Marlon's voice was tight with anger and pain. "This is inappropriate. Kat, you don't have to listen to this." But Catalina didn't move. She stood like a statue, the tears streaming down her face, the bracelet on her wrist catching the afternoon light. Elon saw it and felt a surge of hope. "You're wearing it," he said softly. "The bracelet I made you. You kept it." Catalina's hand flew to her wrist, covering the circuit board bracelet like she'd been caught doing something wrong. "That's from him?" Marlon asked, his voice hollow. "You're wearing jewelry from another man on our wedding day?" Marlon, I can explain, Catalina started. What is there to explain? Marlon's composure was cracking. Your ex-boyfriend crashes our wedding, and you're wearing his bracelet. Were you ever going to tell me about him? You knew I dated someone in college, Catalina said weakly. You said it was just a college relationship. You said it didn't matter anymore. Marlon gestured at Elon. See, this man clearly still matters. Catalina looked helpless. I don't know what to say. Say you love me, Marlon pleaded. Say you want to marry me. Tell him to leave. Catalina opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Elon's heart raced. This was the moment. Everything hung in the balance. Cat, he said gently, I'm not here to ruin your life. I'm here because I finally have the courage to tell you what I should have said 25 years ago. Then say it, Marlon challenged. Say whatever you came here to say so we can get on with our wedding. Elon looked at Marlon, then back at Catalina. I love you. I've loved you since the moment you spilled coffee on my textbook. I've loved you through every success, every failure, every moment of the past 25 years. I love you more than rockets, more than companies, more than any dream I've ever chased. Catalina's knees seemed to buckle. A bridesmaid caught her arm. I built Tesla, thinking about how you wanted to save the planet, Elon continued. I built SpaceX, remembering how we used to look at stars and talk about Mars. Every impossible thing I've accomplished, I did it trying to become worthy of you. Stop it, Catalina sobbed. Elon, stop. I can't stop. Not anymore. He took a step closer. You told me once that I had to choose between you and my dreams. But you were wrong, Cat. You weren't separate from my dreams. You were the reason for them. You were always the reason. Marlon made a sound like he'd been punched. Cat, look at me. Catalina turned to Marlon, her face devastated. Do you love him? Marlon asked simply. The question hung in the air like smoke. You guests leaned forward in their seats. The bridesmaids held their breath. Even the mountains seemed to wait for her answer. Catalina looked at Marlon with such sadness that Elon almost told her to stop, to marry Marlon, to forget this whole disaster. Then she looked at Elon, and without saying a word, she gave him her answer. Her eyes said everything. Pain, longing, love that had never died despite 25 years of trying to bury it. Catalina's bouquet slipped from her fingers. White roses scattered across the altar steps like fallen snow. She took one small step toward Elon, then another. Catalina took another step toward Elon, and the world seemed to hold its breath. Cat, no! Marlon's voice broke. Don't do this, please. She stopped halfway between the two men. Her white dress fluttered in the mountain breeze. A mascara streaked her cheeks. She looked torn apart. I'm sorry, she whispered to Marlon. I'm so sorry. Don't apologize, Marlon said, his own eyes filling with tears. Just tell me the truth. Do you love him? Catalina's hand went to the bracelet again. Her fingers traced the circuit board pattern that Elon had soldered together 35 years ago with shaking hands and desperate hope. I tried not to, she said quietly. God, Marlon, I tried so hard not to love him anymore. The admission hit the crowd like thunder. Gasps echoed through the garden. Sophia covered her face with her hands. The officiant backed away further, clearly wanting to disappear. Marlon stood very still. That's not an answer to my question. Yes, Catalina whispered. I still love him. I never stopped. Someone in the crowd began crying. When Elon thought it might be his heart he heard breaking, but then he realized it was Marlon's mother, sitting in the front row. Marlon closed his eyes. When he opened them, they were red but clear. "How long have you known? That you still loved him?" "Always," Catalina admitted. "I always knew. I thought time and distance would fix it. I thought loving you would be enough to make me forget him." "But it wasn't." Marlon's voice was flat. "I do love you, Marlon. You're kind and good, and everything I should want. But I'm not him." Marlon gestured at Elon. "I could never be him." "That's not fair." "Fair?" Marlon laughed bitterly. "You're wearing another man's jewelry on our wedding day, Kat. You invited your ex-boyfriend to our wedding without telling me. What part of this is fair?" Catalina flinched like she'd been slapped. "So, you're right. You're absolutely right. I've been unfair to you. I'm sorry." "Stop apologizing!" Marlon's composure finally shattered. His voice rose. "I don't want your apologies. I want to know why. Why did you say yes to marrying me if you were still in love with him?" The question echoed across the silent garden. 200 guests watched the drama unfold like spectators at the world's saddest theater. Catalina's voice shook. "Because I was tired of waiting. Tired of hoping. Elon made his choice 25 years ago. He chose his dreams over me. He left me." Her voice cracked. "He left me when I needed him most." Elon felt the words like knives. "Kat, please, let me explain what happened." "Explain!" Catalina spun toward him, anger flashing in her eyes. "You want to explain now? 25 years later? Well, where were you when I called you crying? Where were you when I sent back all your letters unopened?" "You sent them back unopened?" Elon looked stricken. I thought you read them and decided." "I couldn't read them." Catalina's voice rose. "Reading them would have destroyed me. I was barely holding myself together as it was." The crowd shifted uncomfortably. This was getting too personal, too raw. But no one could look away. Marlon found his voice again. "What happened 25 years ago? What aren't you telling me, Kat?" Catalina pressed her hands to her face. "Marlon, I can't. Not here. Not in front of everyone." "Then when?" Marlon demanded. "When were you planning to tell me? After the wedding? On our honeymoon? Never?" "I don't know," Catalina cried. "I don't know, okay? I thought I could bury it. I thought I could be happy with you and forget the past." "But you can't forget him." Marlon looked at Elon with something between hatred and understanding. "What did you do to her? What happened that she's still broken 25 years later?" Elon met his gaze steadily. "I broke her heart. I was young and scared and stupid, and I made choices I can never take back." "That's not good enough," Marlon said. "That's not an explanation." "You want the truth?" Elon's voice was rough with emotion. "The truth is that Catalina told me something that terrified me. Something that should have made me step up and be a man. Instead, I ran. I chose my own future over hers. And by the time I realized what I'd done, what I'd thrown away, it was too late." Catalina made a small sound of pain. Marlon looked between them, trying to piece it together. "What did she tell you?" "Marlon, please," Catalina begged. "Don't make me do this here." But Marlon was past caring about propriety. "No, I think these people deserve to know why their Sunday afternoon is being ruined. I think I deserve to know why the woman I love is wearing another man's jewelry at our wedding." He turned to the crowd, his voice carrying across the garden. "Everyone here came to celebrate love and commitment. Instead, you're watching my fiancée realize she's still in love with her ex. So let's have the whole story. Let's air every dirty secret." "Marlon, don't..." Catalina reached for him. He stepped back. Tell them, Kat. Tell everyone what happened. Or I will stand here wondering for the rest of my life what was so terrible that it still controls you 25 years later. Tears streamed down Catalina's face. And she looked at the crowd, friends, family, colleagues, people who loved her and Marlon. She looked at Elon, standing there with his heart in his eyes. She looked at Marlon, the good man she'd tried so hard to love enough. Then she looked down at the bracelet on her wrist. "I was pregnant," she said quietly. The words dropped like stones into still water. Ripples of shock spread through the crowd. Elon's face went white. "What?" "I was pregnant," Catalina repeated, louder now. "It was our last year at Queen's. We were 21 years old. I found out 2 weeks before you were supposed to leave for Stanford." Elon swayed on his feet. "You never told me." "I did tell you." Catalina's voice broke. "I told you the night before you left. I was terrified and crying, and I told you I was pregnant with your baby." The crowd erupted in whispers. "Oh," Sophia gasped. Marlon stood frozen, his mouth open. Elon shook his head, confusion written across his face. No, that's not. You told me something else. I said I was pregnant, and you said it would ruin everything." Catalina was crying fully now, 25 years of pain pouring out. "You said we were too young. You said a baby would derail your plans, my plans, everything we'd worked for." "I didn't." Elon's voice was hoarse. "I was talking about getting married. You said you wanted to get married, and I panicked." Catalina froze. "What?" "You said you wanted to get married before I left for California," Elon said desperately. "You said you couldn't do long distance, that you needed a commitment. And God, I was 21 and terrified. And I said marriage would complicate everything. I said it would ruin our futures. But you were pregnant?" They stared at each other across the altar, understanding dawning with horrible clarity. "We were talking about 2 different things," Catalina whispered. "You thought I was telling you to—" Elon couldn't finish the sentence. His face was gray. "Kat. Oh God, Kat. You thought I wanted you to get rid of our baby?" Catalina nodded, unable to speak. Elon's knees buckled. He caught himself on the altar steps. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. If I had known—" "What would you have done?" Catalina asked bitterly. "Would you have stayed? Would you have given up Stanford and SpaceX and Tesla and everything you built?" "Yes!" Elon's voice was raw. "Yes, I would have. I would have given up everything for you, for our child. I thought we were arguing about marriage, not. He couldn't continue. He was shaking, tears streaming down his face. Marlon's voice cut through the tension. "Where is the child now?" The question hung in the air like an executioner's blade. Catalina closed her eyes. "There is no child." Understanding crashed over Elon like a wave. "No, please, no." "I lost the baby 2 weeks after you left," Catalina said dully. "Miscarriage. I was alone in my dorm room, bleeding and terrified, and you were in California chasing your dreams." Elon made a sound like a wounded animal. He sank to his knees on the altar steps. "I tried to call you," Catalina continued, her voice hollow. "You wouldn't answer. I left messages. You never called back." "I thought you hated me," Elon whispered. "I thought you wanted me to leave you alone." "I did hate you. I hated you for leaving me, for choosing your future over our family, for not fighting for us." The garden was completely silent. Even the wind had stopped. 200 people watched Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, cry on his knees before the woman he'd lost. Marlon looked at his bride, his almost bride, with new eyes. You've been carrying this for 25 years? Catalina nodded. And you never told me. How could I? Catalina's voice broke. How could I tell you that I was still in love with the man who broke my heart? That every time you talked about having children someday, I thought about the baby I lost? That I wear his bracelet under my sleeves because I can't bear to take it off? Marlon was crying now, too. You should have told me. Before I proposed. Before I fell in love with you. And you should have told me I was loving a ghost. I'm not a ghost, Catalina said. I'm here. I'm real. But you're not mine, Marlon said gently. You never were. You were always his. He turned to Elon, who still knelt on the steps, destroyed. Stand up, Marlon said. Elon looked up, his face ravaged. Stand up, Marlon repeated. If you're going to take her from me, at least do it like a man. Slowly, Elon stood. Elon stood on shaking legs. His eyes were red, his face wet with tears. He looked at Marlon, expecting hatred. Instead, he saw only sadness. I'm sorry, Elon said hoarsely. I never meant to hurt you. I didn't even know if I should come today. But you came anyway. Marlon's voice was surprisingly calm now. Why? Because I love her. Because I've loved her every day for 25 years. And because I'm tired of being a coward. Marlon nodded slowly, like that made sense. He turned to Catalina. Do you know what I loved most about you? Catalina shook her head, tears streaming down her face. You're passionate. About the environment, about justice, about making the world better. I've watched you fight for causes you believe in. You never give up. You never back down. Marlon's voice cracked. But you gave up on him, on us, on your own happiness. That's not fair. It's completely fair, Marlon interrupted gently. You settled for me, Kat. You chose safe over true, comfortable over passionate. And I let you because I was so grateful you'd even look at me. Marlon, I do love you. I know you do. He smiled sadly. Just not the way you love him. Not the way someone should love the person they're marrying. He looked at the crowd. His parents sat in the front row, his mother still crying. His friends looked stunned. His sister had her arm around his mother. I'm sorry to everyone who came here today, Marlon said clearly. This isn't the wedding you expected. It's not the wedding I expected either. But I won't marry someone who's in love with another man. I won't be someone's second choice. He turned back to Catalina and took her hands. You deserve to be happy. Really happy, not just comfortable. And if he makes you happy, he glanced at Elon, then you should be with him. No, Catalina said. No, Marlon. You're good and kind, and we can make this work. We can't. Marlon squeezed her hands. I've known for months something was wrong. The way you'd stare out windows like you were somewhere else. The way you'd touch that bracelet when you thought I wasn't looking. I told myself it would get better after the wedding. But it wouldn't have, would it? Catalina couldn't answer. Marlon let go of her hands. I release you, Catalina Rivera. I release you from this engagement, from your promises, from everything. I hope he deserves you this time. He stepped back from the altar and walked down the aisle. His mother reached for him, but he kept walking, his shoulders straight, his head high. A good man walking away with dignity. The crowd didn't know what to do. Some people stood as if to follow Marlon. Others stayed seated, watching the drama unfold. Catalina stood frozen in her wedding dress, bouquet scattered at her feet, makeup ruined. And she looked between the aisle where Marlon had disappeared and Elon, who waited at the base of the altar steps. I didn't want this, she whispered. I didn't want to hurt him. I know, Elon said softly. I thought I could forget you, I thought 25 years would be enough." "Was it?" Catalina looked at him. Really looked at him. She saw the boy who'd built her a telescope from spare parts. The young man who'd talked about changing the world with such fierce conviction. But she also saw new things. Gray at his temples, lines around his eyes, the weight of decades and accomplishments and loneliness. "You look older," she said. "So do you." Elon managed a small smile. "You're even more beautiful." "Don't!" Catalina's voice was sharp. "Don't charm me. Don't make this easy." "I don't want it to be easy." "And nothing worth having is easy." "You left me." The anger came rushing back. "You left me pregnant and alone." "I didn't know." "You should have known." Catalina's voice rose. "You should have asked questions. You should have listened instead of panicking." "You're right." Elon didn't defend himself. "I was a coward. I was so terrified of derailing my future that I didn't think about yours, about ours, about our baby." The word baby made them both flinch. Catalina's hand went to her stomach, an unconscious gesture after 25 years. "I named her. Did you know that? The baby. I named her Luna." Elon's face crumpled. "Luna? Because you loved the moon. You used to tell me that one day humans would have cities on the moon. I thought our daughter would live to see that." "Cat." She would have been 25 this year. Catalina was crying again. She'd be finishing graduate school maybe, or working to save the planet like I do. She'd be brilliant and strange and wonderful, like her father. Elon couldn't speak. He stood there, tears flowing freely, mourning a daughter he'd never known existed until today. "I wanted to hate you," Catalina continued. "After the miscarriage, I wanted to hate you so much. But I couldn't. Because even when you broke my heart, even when you left me, I knew you didn't do it to be cruel. You did it because you were young and scared and human." "I wrote you letters," Elon said hoarsely. "For a year, I wrote you letters every week, begging you to talk to me, to let me explain." "I know. I kept them." Elon's head snapped up. You said you sent them back unopened." "I lied." Catalina gave a bitter laugh. "I opened every single one, read them over and over until I had them memorized. Then I put them in a box under my bed and told myself I'd thrown them away." "Why didn't you respond? Why didn't you tell me about Luna?" "Because I was angry. Because I was grieving. Because telling you would have made it real in a way I couldn't handle." Catalina's voice broke. "And because part of me wanted you to suffer the way I was suffering." "I did suffer," Elon said quietly. "Every day. Every success felt empty without you. I built companies thinking maybe if I became successful enough, important enough, maybe you'd come back. That's not how it works." I know now. But I was 21 and stupid. We were both 21 and stupid." Catalina wiped her eyes. "Tana, the difference is, I lost everything. You went on to change the world. I didn't change anything that mattered. Not without you." They stood in silence. The guests had started to whisper again. Sophia appeared at Catalina's side, putting a protective arm around her. "Cat, you don't have to do this now," Sophia said gently. "You don't have to make any decisions today." But Catalina shook her off. She looked at Elon with exhausted eyes. "Why did you really come today, Elon? To ease your guilt? To play hero? To prove you could still have me if you wanted?" "No." Elon stepped closer. "I came because when I got your invitation, I realized I'd wasted 25 years being too proud to fight for what I wanted most. I came because seeing your name on that envelope made me understand that all my success means nothing if I spend the rest of my life wondering What if? What if what? What if I'd told you the truth that day? What if I'd said, I'm terrified of marriage, but I love you more than my dreams? What if I'd answered your calls? What if I'd gotten on a plane and come to you instead of hiding in California feeling sorry for myself? Catalina's breath caught. What if I still have a chance? Elon finished quietly. The question hung between them like a bridge over an impossible chasm. Sophia squeezed Catalina's shoulder. You don't owe him anything, Cat. After what he did. He didn't know, Catalina interrupted softly. About Luna. He really didn't know. That doesn't excuse... No, it doesn't. Catalina turned to face Elon fully. But it explains. And maybe we were both victims of a terrible misunderstanding. Elon took another step closer. They were only a few feet apart now, close enough to touch, close enough to see every line on each other's faces. I can't give you back the years we lost, Elon said. I can't bring Luna back. I can't erase your pain or my mistakes. But Cat, if you give me a chance, just one chance, I promise I will spend the rest of my life trying to deserve you. Pretty words, Catalina said, but her voice was soft. They're true words. I'll prove it. However long it takes, whatever you need, I'll prove it. Catalina looked down at the bracelet on her wrist. The circuit board Elon had soldered by hand in a dorm room in 1991. The piece of metal and wire she'd worn for 25 years under her sleeves, hidden from everyone. A secret talisman of a love that never died. I'm not the same person I was, she said finally. That girl who believed in your impossible dreams? She died when I lost Luna, when you left. I'm harder now, more careful. I don't trust easily. I know. I have a life here, a job I love, friends. Marlon deserves better than what I did to him today. He does, Elon agreed. And you have your rockets and your companies and your world-changing plans. What do you need me for? Elon's voice was absolutely certain. Everything. I need you for everything. Catalina's resolve wavered. She looked at Sophia, at the crowd, at the scattered roses from her bouquet. If I do this, she said slowly, if I give you a chance, we go slow. We start over. We don't skip steps or rush ahead, assuming we know each other. Whatever you want. And you have to promise me something. Anything. Catalina met his eyes. Promise me that if I tell you something important, something scary, you won't run. You'll stay and face it with me, no matter what. Elon understood. She was asking for what he hadn't given her 25 years ago. I promise, he said, I will never run from you again. Whatever happens, we face it together. Catalina took a shaky breath. Then, slowly, she lifted her hand. Elon stared at her outstretched hand for a moment. Then he took it. Her fingers were warm in his, the bracelet pressed between their palms. The crowd erupted. Some guests clapped, others gasped. A few stood up angrily and walked toward the parking lot. Catalina's aunt shouted something in Spanish that didn't sound congratulatory, but Catalina didn't let go of Elon's hand. Sophia stepped between them, her face fierce. Cat, think about what you're doing. This man hurt you. He left you when you needed him most. I know what he did, Sophia. Do you? Because 5 minutes ago, you were about to marry Marlon. Now you're holding hands with the man who abandoned you pregnant? Catalina flinched, but held firm. It's more complicated than that. It's not complicated. Sophia's voice rose. He left. You suffered. End of story. It's not the end, Catalina said quietly. It's never been the end. That's the problem. Sophia looked between them, frustrated. Fine, make your mistake, but I'm not going to watch this. She turned and walked away, her burgundy dress swishing with each angry step. Other bridesmaids followed. Some guests were already in their cars, engines starting. The officiant had disappeared entirely. The perfect wedding was dissolving into chaos. Catalina's mother appeared from the crowd. She was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes that currently burned with anger. "Mama," Catalina started. "No." Her mother's voice was sharp. "You don't get to mama me right now. What were you thinking? Marlon is a good man. I know. He loves you. He would have given you a good life. I know, Mama, but I don't love him the way he deserves." Her mother's eyes filled with tears. "And you love this man? This stranger who shows up after 25 years? He's not a stranger." Catalina's voice was barely audible. "He's Elon." Her mother looked at Elon properly for the first time. Recognition flickered across her face. "So, the boy from university? The one who made you cry for months?" "Yes." "And you think he's changed? You think he won't hurt you again?" "I think—" Catalina struggled to find words. "I think we both made mistakes. I think we both suffered. And I think we deserve a chance to understand what really happened." Her mother shook her head. "You're going to get hurt again, Mija." "Maybe. But I've been hurt for 25 years anyway. At least, this way I'll know for sure." Her mother looked at her daughter's face, the tears, the hope, the fear, and her expression softened slightly. "If he breaks your heart again, I will personally destroy him. I don't care how rich or famous he is." "I understand," Elon said quickly. "And you have every right to hate me, Mrs. Rivera. I hate myself for what I did." "Good." Her mother turned back to Catalina. "Oh, don't expect me to be happy about this. I liked Marlon." "I liked Marlon too, Mama. That's why this is so hard." Her mother sighed and walked away, shaking her head. The garden was half empty now. Only about 50 people remained, mostly younger friends who seemed fascinated by the drama. The older guests had fled, scandalized. Elon still held Catalina's hand. Neither of them knew what to do next. "We should probably leave," Catalina said, "before more people get angry." "Where do you want to go?" "I don't know. Away from here. I can't." She looked at the altar, the flowers, the empty chairs. "I can't stay here. My hotel is 10 minutes away. You could change, and we could talk. Really talk." Catalina hesitated. "Just talk?" "Just talk. I promise." She looked down at her wedding dress. White silk that was supposed to be for Marlon. "I need to get out of this dress." "There's a room in the resort building where you got ready. I could wait while you change." Catalina nodded. Still holding Elon's hand, she walked toward the building. Guests stared. Someone took a photo with their phone. This would be all over social media within the hour. The bridal suite was a mess. Makeup scattered across the counter. Champagne bottles from the morning celebration. Catalina's street clothes folded neatly on a chair. "I'll wait outside," Elon said. "No." Catalina's voice was firm. "I need to tell you something first, before I change my mind, before I lose my courage." Elon's stomach tightened. "Okay." Catalina sat on the edge of the couch, still in her wedding dress. She looked like a beautiful ghost. Elon sat in a chair across from her, careful to maintain distance. "When I had the miscarriage," Catalina began, her voice shaking, "the doctors told me there were complications, scarring, damage. They said I might never be able to carry a child to term." Elon's face went pale. "Cat, let me finish." She took a breath. "I was 21, and being told I might never have children. Because of stress, they said. Because of trauma. Because my body went through something terrible while I was alone and terrified. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Elon wanted to reach for her but stayed frozen in his chair. For 2 years, I believed that. I believed I was broken, that Luna had been my only chance, and I'd lost her. Catalina's voice dropped to a whisper. But then I met someone, a graduate student, nice guy, nothing serious. We dated for a few months. Elon's chest tightened with jealousy he had no right to feel. And I got pregnant again, Catalina continued. The room went silent. What? Elon breathed. I found out when I was 8 weeks along. I was terrified. After what the doctors said, after losing Luna, I didn't think it was possible. But there it was, a second chance. Did you? Elon couldn't finish the question. I decided to keep the baby. The father didn't want anything to do with it. He was young, scared, focused on his career. Catalina's laugh was bitter. Sound familiar? Elon closed his eyes. But this time, the baby survived. Against all odds, despite what the doctors said, despite being alone and scared. This time, I carried her to term. Her? Elon's eyes flew open. Catalina nodded. A daughter, born healthy and perfect in September of 1998. I named her Sophia. Elon was struggling to process. You have a daughter. I have a daughter. She's 23 years old. She's getting her master's in aerospace engineering at MIT. The word aerospace hit Elon like a physical blow. She wants to build rockets. She wants to go to Mars. Catalina's smile was sad. Wonder where she got that dream. But she's not. I'm not. No, you're not her biological father. But Elon, she grew up hearing about you. Because I couldn't help myself. Even when I tried to forget you, even when I told myself to move on, I'd tell her stories about the strange, brilliant boy who wanted to change the world. Elon was shaking. Why are you telling me this now? Because Sophia knows about you. She knows about Luna. She knows everything. Catalina looked at the door. And she's here, at the wedding. She was one of my bridesmaids. Elon's mind raced back to the ceremony. The bridesmaids in burgundy dresses. Had one of them been watching him with unusual interest? She wanted to meet you, Catalina said. She's admired you her whole life, followed your career, applied to work at SpaceX twice, but was too proud to mention she was my daughter. Cat, I don't understand. Why didn't you tell me? In all these years, why didn't you reach out? Because I was angry. Because you left me. Because... Catalina's voice broke. Because I was afraid. Afraid you'd reject Sophia the way I thought you'd rejected Luna. Afraid you'd break my heart again. Afraid you'd disappoint my daughter the way you disappointed me. Elon stood up and crossed to the couch, and he knelt in front of Catalina, taking her hands. I will never reject your daughter. Our daughter, because if you'll let me, I want to be in her life. I want to know her. I want to... She's here, Catalina interrupted. She wanted to come in. I told her to wait until I talked to you first. Then let her in. Elon's voice was urgent. Please, Cat, let me meet her. Catalina searched his face, looking for something. Sincerity, commitment. The boy she'd loved, who'd become a man she didn't know. Whatever she saw must have satisfied her because she pulled out her phone and sent a text. A minute later, there was a knock at the door. Come in, Catalina called. The door opened, and a young woman stepped inside. Elon stood up slowly, his breath catching. She was tall and slender with dark hair like Catalina's but cut short. She had brown eyes that sparkled with intelligence. She wore a burgundy bridesmaid dress and held herself with quiet confidence. "Hi," she said, her voice steady despite the extraordinary circumstances. "I'm Sophia." Elon couldn't speak. He stared at this young woman who'd grown up on stories of him, who wanted to go to Mars, who was standing in front of him because Catalina, his Catalina, had raised her alone. "It's nice to finally meet you, Mr. Musk," Sophia continued. "I've wanted to for a long time." "Please," Elon managed. "Call me Elon." Sophia smiled slightly. "Okay, Elon. Your mother tells me you're studying aerospace engineering. At MIT, I'm working on propulsion systems for long-duration spaceflight. Mars mission durations." "Exactly." Sophia's eyes lit up. "I wrote my thesis proposal on sustainable life support systems for Mars colonies. My advisor said it was too ambitious, but I thought—" "Ambitious is good," Elon interrupted. "Ambitious is necessary. If you're not attempting the impossible, you're wasting time." Sophia laughed. "That's exactly what Mom said you'd say." Catalina watched them talk, tears streaming down her face. Her daughter and the man she'd never stopped loving, connecting over impossible dreams, just like she and Elon had all those years ago. "I have so many questions," Sophia said, pulling up a chair. "About SpaceX's heat shield design? About the challenges with Mars EDL? About—" "Sophia," Catalina interrupted gently. "Maybe give us a minute. This is a lot." Sophia looked between her mother and Elon. "Right. Sorry. I got excited." She stood up. "I'll wait outside. But Elon, I'm really glad you came today. Mom's been sad for as long as I can remember. Even when she smiled, she was sad. I always knew it was because of you." "I'm sorry," Elon said hoarsely. "I'm so sorry." "Don't be sorry. Just—" Sophia looked at her mother with fierce love. "Just don't leave again. She can't take it again." "I won't," Elon promised. "Never again." Sophia nodded and left, closing the door behind her. Elon and Catalina were alone again. The weight of everything hung between them: Luna, Sophia, 25 years of pain and longing and mistakes. "She's incredible," Elon said finally. "She is." Catalina's voice was full of pride. "She's the best thing I ever did." "You raised her alone." "I had help. My mother, Sophia. But yes, mostly alone." "That must have been hard." "It was impossible, and it was beautiful. It was worth every sacrifice." Catalina stood up. "I need to change out of this dress." "Cat, wait." Elon caught her hand. "There's something I need to tell you too. Something I should have said 25 years ago." Catalina turned back to him. "When you told me about wanting to get married, when I thought that's what you were talking about, I panicked. Not because I didn't love you, but because I loved you so much it terrified me. I'd never needed anyone before, never depended on anyone. And suddenly, you were my whole world, and I didn't know how to handle that." "So you ran," Catalina said quietly. "So I ran. And I've regretted it every single day since." Elon pulled her closer. "But Kat, if I could go back, knowing everything I know now, I would have married you. I would have stayed. I would have been there when you lost Luna. I would have held you while you grieved. I would have been the man you deserved." "You can't go back," Catalina whispered. "No, but I can go forward. With you, if you'll let me." Catalina looked into his eyes, the same blue eyes that had captivated her in a university library 35 years ago. "I need time, Elon. I need to process everything that happened today. Marlon, the wedding, you, all of it. I understand. And I need you to understand something." Her voice was firm now. "I'm not that 21-year-old girl anymore. I won't wait around while you chase your dreams. I won't be second place. If we do this, If we try again, you have to choose me, us, every single day. I will, Elon said without hesitation. I spent 25 years choosing everything else. From now on, I choose you. Catalina searched his face one more time. Then, slowly, she nodded. Okay, she whispered. Okay. Catalina stepped back from Elon, her hands trembling. I need to change. Can you wait outside now? Of course. Elon moved toward the door, then hesitated. Cat? Thank you for giving me a chance. I won't waste it. She nodded, but didn't speak. As soon as the door closed behind him, she sank onto the couch, the wedding dress pooling around her like a white ocean. What had she just done? Outside, Elon found Sophia sitting on a bench, scrolling through her phone. She looked up when he approached. Is Mom okay? She asked. I think so. She's changing. Sophia patted the bench beside her. Sit. We should talk while she's not here to stop us. Elon sat, keeping a respectful distance. Up close, and he could see more details. A small scar above her left eyebrow, freckles across her nose, the way she chewed her bottom lip when thinking. Small things that reminded him of Catalina. You look like your mother, he said. Everyone says that. Though I have my father's nose, apparently. She said father with no emotion, like describing a stranger. Does he... Are you in contact with him? No. He signed away his rights when I was a baby. Sent child support checks until I was 18. But we never met. Mom said he wasn't ready to be a father. Sophia looked at Elon directly. She said you weren't ready either. 25 years ago. Elon's chest tightened. I wasn't. I was a coward. You were 21. That's not an excuse. No, Sophia agreed, but it's context. Mom always made sure I understood that. She never badmouthed you, even though I could tell it hurt her to talk about you. She talked about me? All the time. When I was little, she'd tell me stories about the boy who wanted to go to Mars, who built telescopes from spare parts, who believed he could change the world. Sophia smiled slightly. I used to think you were a character she made up, like a superhero in a story. I'm not a superhero. No, you're human. Mom made sure I knew that too. She'd say, Elon made mistakes, big ones, but his dreams were real, and dreams matter. Sophia's voice softened. I think she wanted me to admire you without hating you. It must have been hard for her. Elon was quiet for a moment. Your mother is the strongest person I've ever known. She is. She raised me alone, worked full-time, went back to school for her master's degree. All while carrying around this broken heart she tried to hide from me. Sophia turned to face him. I need you to understand something, Elon. My mom gave you a second chance in there. But if you hurt her again, I won't. You can't promise that. Nobody can. But I need you to promise you'll try, that you'll put her first, that you'll stay even when it's hard. I promise, Elon said firmly. Whatever it takes, however long it takes. Sophia studied him like she was running calculations in her head, evaluating data. Finally, she nodded. Okay, I believe you. For now. The door to the bridal suite opened. Catalina emerged wearing jeans and a simple blue sweater. Her face was scrubbed clean of makeup, her hair down. She looked younger somehow, more like the girl Elon remembered. Ready? She asked. Where are we going? Sophia stood up. But Catalina looked uncertain. I don't know. Away from here. I can't face people right now. Come to my hotel, Elon suggested. It's quiet, private. We can talk without an audience. All three of us? Catalina glanced at Sophia. If that's okay with you, Sophia said. I mean, this involves me too, doesn't it? You guys aren't the only ones affected by what happened 25 years ago. Catalina's eyes filled with tears. You're right. Of course you're right. Yes, all three of us. They walked to Elon's car, a Tesla, naturally. Sophia ran her hand along the hood appreciatively. Model S Plaid? You know your cars, Elon said, impressed. I know your cars. I've been following Tesla since high school. She slid into the back seat. The battery architecture on the new 4680 cells is brilliant, by the way. Despite everything, Elon smiled. On this brilliant young woman talking about battery cells, she reminded him so much of himself at her age. Catalina sat in the passenger seat, staring out the window. She was quiet during the drive, lost in thought. Elon wanted to reach for her hand, but didn't dare. The hotel was indeed quiet. Elon had rented the penthouse suite, which had a living room separate from the bedroom. Sophia immediately gravitated to the window, looking out at the mountains. Mom, come look at this view. Catalina joined her daughter. For a moment, they stood together, silhouetted against the glass, and Elon felt like an outsider looking at a complete unit. Mother and daughter. A family he wasn't part of. Then Catalina turned and looked at him. Sit, Elon, and we need to talk about what happens now. They arranged themselves around the coffee table, Catalina and Sophia on the couch, Elon in an armchair. It felt like a business meeting, formal and strange. I need to call Marlon, Catalina said. Apologize properly. Make sure he's okay. Will he be okay? Sophia asked gently. Eventually. Marlon is strong. He'll find someone who can love him the way he deserves. Catalina's voice cracked. I hate that I hurt him. You couldn't marry him while in love with someone else, Sophia said. That would have hurt him more in the long run. I know, but it doesn't make today any easier. Elon stayed quiet, knowing this wasn't his place to comment. Catalina took a breath. And I need to figure out my life. My job is here in Vancouver. My house. My friends. Everything I've built. I can move here, Elon said immediately. Or we can figure out something long distance. Whatever you need. You can't just move to Vancouver. You run multiple companies. I can run them from anywhere. The beauty of modern technology. He leaned forward. Kat, I meant what I said. I choose you. If that means relocating, I'll relocate. Sophia looked between them, then stood up. I'm going to get a coffee from the lobby. Give you two some privacy. Sophia, you don't have to, Catalina started. I know, but some conversations should be just between you two. I'll be back in 20 minutes. She grabbed her purse and left before either could argue. Alone again, Elon moved to the couch, sitting where Sophia had been, still not touching Catalina, but closer. She's very perceptive, he said. She's incredible. Catalina's voice was full of pride. She's been my rock through everything. When I was depressed, when I struggled, when I almost gave up, she kept me going. I wish I could have been there, to help, to support you both. You were there, in a way. Every time Sophia accomplished something impossible, I'd think, she gets that from Elon. When she stayed up all night working on projects, when she refused to give up on hard problems, that was you in her. But she's your daughter. You raised her. Everything good about her comes from you. Catalina was quiet for a moment. Then she said, There's something else I need to tell you. About Luna. Elon's stomach dropped. What about her? After the miscarriage, I was devastated. But I was also angry. So angry at you, at myself, at the universe, and I wanted someone to blame. Catalina's hands twisted in her lap. So I told you the cruelest thing I could think of when you finally called. What did you tell me? Do you remember? I said, it's better this way. We would have been terrible parents. The baby dying was probably for the best. Elon's face went white. I remember. Those words have haunted me for 25 years. I didn't mean them. Tears streamed down Catalina's face. I didn't mean a single word. I was trying to hurt you the way you'd hurt me. I wanted you to suffer. You succeeded. I know. And I've regretted those words every day since. Because the truth is, losing Luna destroyed me. It wasn't for the best. It was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And I blamed you for not being there when it happened. Elon moved closer, taking her hands. Kat, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm sorry you faced that alone. I'm sorry for everything. I'm sorry, too, for the cruel things I said, for not reading your letters, for not telling you about Sophia, for... Her voice broke. For wearing your bracelet while almost marrying another man. They sat in silence, hands clasped, 25 years of pain and regret flowing between them. What do we do now? Catalina whispered. We start over. We take it slow. We learn who we are now, not who we were. Elon squeezed her hands. And we honor Luna. We remember her. We don't pretend she didn't exist. Catalina looked up at him, surprised. You want to talk about her? She was our daughter. Brief as her life was, she mattered. She deserves to be remembered. Fresh tears spilled down Catalina's cheeks. I have something for you. Wait here. She went to her purse and pulled out a small velvet pouch. From it, she drew a delicate silver chain with a pendant, a tiny crescent moon. I had this made after it happened. Luna means moon. I wear it sometimes, under my clothes, where nobody can see. She handed it to Elon. I want you to have it, so you can carry her with you too. Elon's hands shook as he took the necklace. The moon pendant was simple but beautiful, catching the light. He couldn't speak. You don't have to wear it, Catalina started. I'll never take it off, Elon interrupted hoarsely. He fastened it around his neck immediately. The pendant settled against his chest, right over his heart. They sat like that for a long moment, mourning together the daughter they'd lost, the years they'd wasted, the pain they'd caused each other. Then Catalina said quietly, There's one more thing. Elon looked at her, almost afraid of what else she might reveal. When Marlon proposed, I said yes, because I thought it was my last chance at happiness. I thought, this is as good as it gets. Take it or be alone forever. She met his eyes. But saying yes to him meant giving up on you. Really, truly giving up. And I couldn't do it until the very end. That's why I invited you to the wedding. You wanted me to stop it? Elon asked, stunned. I wanted you to give me a reason to stop it myself. I wanted you to show up and remind me why I'd spent 25 years unable to forget you. Catalina's smile was sad. Pathetic, isn't it? I couldn't make a decision on my own. I needed you to make it for me. That's not pathetic. That's human. I put you in an impossible position. If you hadn't come, I would have resented you forever. If you came and stayed silent, same thing. I basically forced you to object. You didn't force me to do anything, Elon said firmly. I came because I couldn't stand the thought of you marrying someone else. I objected because I love you. Those were my choices. Do you, though? Love me? Catalina's voice was small. Or do you love the memory of who I was? The girl in the library who believed in your dreams? I love both, Elon said honestly. I love the memory of who you were, and I want to love who you are now. I want to learn everything about the woman you've become. Your fears, your dreams, your favorite coffee order, how you take your coffee now, what makes you laugh, what keeps you up at night. I take my coffee black now, Catalina said. No sugar. But life made me bitter. Then I'll work to make you sweet again. Despite everything, Catalina laughed. It was a small laugh, broken and tentative, but it was real. The door opened, and Sophia came back carrying 3 coffees. I got one for everyone. Figured we could all use the caffeine. She handed them out and sat down. So, what did I miss? Catalina and Elon looked at each other, then at Sophia. We're going to try, Catalina said. Slowly, carefully. No promises. But we're going to see if we can build something from the wreckage of what we had. Sophia nodded seriously. Good, because honestly, watching Mom pine for you for 23 years was exhausting. Either make it work or fail spectacularly so we can all move on. Sophia! Catalina looked shocked. What? I'm just being honest. Sophia sipped her coffee. So, what's the plan? Elon moves to Vancouver? Mom moves to California? Long-distance relationship? Weekly video calls and awkward airport reunions? We haven't figured that out yet, Elon admitted. Well, figure it out. Because I'm not watching another wedding disaster. Sophia stood up. And on that note, I'm going back to my hotel. You two need time alone. Real time. To talk without me analyzing every word like it's a thesis defense. She hugged her mother tightly. I love you, Mom. You did the right thing today. Then, surprising everyone, she hugged Elon too. Don't disappoint her. Or me. I really want to work for SpaceX someday, and it would be super awkward if I had to hate you. She left, and for the second time that day, Elon and Catalina were alone. The silence stretched between them. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the mountains in shades of gold and purple. Inside the hotel suite, Elon and Catalina sat surrounded by the wreckage of the day, coffee cups, tear-stained tissues, the weight of 25 years. I should go, Catalina said finally, though she didn't move. I need to call my mother, deal with the wedding vendors, figure out what to tell people. Stay. Elon's voice was quiet. Just a little longer, please. Catalina looked at him. Really looked. In the fading light, she could see every line on his face, every gray hair, every year that had passed. He looked tired, older. But his eyes, those blue eyes that had captivated her in a library so long ago, they looked exactly the same. What are we doing, Elon? She asked. Really? What is this? I don't know, he admitted. But I know what I want it to be. And what's that? Everything. I want movie nights and arguments about where to eat dinner. I want to meet you for coffee and talk until the cafe closes. I want to know what makes you happy now, what scares you, what you dream about when you let yourself dream. That sounds normal, domestic. You've never been good at normal. Maybe I've changed. Have you? Catalina's voice was skeptical. Or are you caught up in the romance of this moment? The drama of objecting at a wedding, the lost love finally found. What happens when reality sets in? When you have a rocket launch and I have work? When you're needed in Texas and I'm here in Vancouver? Elon was quiet, considering. Those are fair questions, and honestly, I don't know. I can't promise it will be easy. My life is complicated. My work demands everything. That's what I'm afraid of. But Kat, I can promise you this. I won't make the same mistake twice. Last time, I chose my dreams over you. This time, you are the dream. He stood and walked to the window, looking out at the darkening sky. I spent 25 years building companies, launching rockets, changing industries. And you know what I learned? What? That none of it means anything if you're alone at the end of the day. Success is empty when you have no one to share it with. Every achievement felt hollow because the person I wanted to tell was gone. Catalina stood and joined him at the window. They stood side by side, not touching, watching the last light fade from the sky. "I'm scared," she admitted. "I'm terrified, actually, of getting hurt again, of letting myself hope, of believing in us and having it fall apart." "Me too." She looked at him, surprised. "You're scared?" "Terrified. What if I mess this up again? What if I disappoint you? What if 25 years apart means we don't actually know each other anymore?" Elon turned to face her. "But I'm more scared of not trying, of wondering for the rest of my life what could have been." Catalina's eyes filled with tears again. "I cried so much today. I didn't think I had any tears left. They're cleansing tears, washing away the past." "Are you always this philosophical now?" "Only when I'm trying to win back the love of my life." Despite everything, Catalina smiled. Smooth talker. "I've had 25 years to rehearse." They stood in comfortable silence. Outside, stars were beginning to appear. Elon pointed at one. "That's Jupiter. It still has its moons. You and your planets. Some things don't change." He paused. "Do you remember the night I built you that telescope?" "Of course. You were so proud of it, even though half the parts were held together with duct tape." "It worked, though." "It did." Catalina's voice softened. "That was the night I fell in love with you. Really in love. Watching you explain the universe with such passion, such certainty that we'd go there someday. I thought, this boy is going to change the world, and I get to be part of it. You were part of it. You still are. Every rocket I launch, every innovation, you're woven into all of it. Your passion for the environment inspired Tesla. Your belief in impossible dreams gave me the courage to try." "That's a nice thought, but I wasn't there. I didn't build those companies with you. You built something more important. You raised Sophia alone. You worked, went to school, created a life. You survived losing our daughter and carried on. Kat, you're stronger than any rocket I've ever built." Catalina leaned against the window, her forehead pressed to the cool glass. "I had to be strong. I didn't have a choice. Being weak meant falling apart completely. You don't have to be strong alone anymore." She turned to look at him. "Is that a promise or a hope?" "Both." Catalina studied his face in the dim light. She saw sincerity there, vulnerability. The boy she'd loved was still inside the man he'd become. "I need to go," she said again. "I need to process everything. Today it was too much." "I understand." Elon pulled out his phone. "What's your number?" Your new number?" Catalina rattled it off, and he typed it in immediately. Her phone buzzed with a text. "It's Elon. Don't delete this one." She laughed despite herself. "Confident, aren't you?" "Hopeful," he corrected. She walked to the door, then stopped. "Elon? Tomorrow. Can we meet? Just us. No Sophia, no drama. Just coffee and conversation." "Yes, absolutely yes. Where and when?" "There's a cafe near Stanley Park, the Daily Grind, 10 a.m. "I'll be there." Catalina opened the door, then turned back one more time. "And Elon, thank you for coming today, for objecting, for giving us a chance to clear the air after all these years. Thank you for inviting me, for wearing the bracelet, for not hating me. I could never hate you. That was always the problem. She left, and Elon stood alone in the hotel suite, his heart pounding, and he touched the moon pendant around his neck, Luna's memorial, and made a silent promise to the daughter he'd never known. I'll take care of your mother this time. I won't fail again. The next morning, Elon arrived at the daily grind 15 minutes early. He'd barely slept, too wired with anxiety and hope. He ordered coffee, black, like Catalina took hers now, and claimed a corner table. At exactly 10 a.m., Catalina walked in. She wore jeans and a green sweater, her hair pulled back in a ponytail. Without makeup, without the stress of the wedding, she looked more like herself, more like the girl he remembered. "Hi," she said, sliding into the seat across from him. "Hi." They sat awkwardly for a moment, then both laughed. "This is weird," Catalina admitted. "Extremely weird. Well, we're essentially strangers who used to be everything to each other." "Exactly." She sipped her coffee. "So where do we start?" "The beginning? Tell me about the last 25 years. Not the painful parts we covered yesterday. The good parts. What made you happy?" Catalina thought for a moment. "Sophia, obviously. Watching her grow up was the greatest joy of my life. Her first steps, her first words, her first science fair project. She built a model of the solar system and could name all the planets before she was 5. Wonder where she learned that. I showed her pictures from old books, told her stories about Mars and the stars." Catalina smiled. "I couldn't help myself. Even angry at you, I couldn't stop sharing your dreams with her." "What else made you happy?" "My work. I'm the Director of Environmental Policy for British Columbia now. We've implemented programs that reduced carbon emissions by 30% in 5 years. It's not rocket science, but it matters. It matters enormously. Climate change is existential." They talked for an hour, then 2. Coffee turned into lunch at a nearby restaurant. Lunch turned into a walk through Stanley Park. Catalina told him about graduate school, about her mother's battle with breast cancer, now in remission, about learning to kayak, about a trip to Mexico with Sophia. Elon told her about SpaceX's failures and successes, about sleeping in the factory when things got tough, about his children from his marriages, which he admitted were attempts to fill the void she'd left, about his fears and dreams. "I'm still strange," he admitted, as they walked along the seawall. "Still obsessive, still bad at small talk. Those things haven't changed." "Good. I liked your strangeness." "Past tense? Fine. I like your strangeness. Present tense." They walked in silence, watching boats on the water. Children played on the beach. Couples strolled hand in hand. Elon wanted to reach for Catalina's hand, but didn't. Too soon. Too presumptuous. Then Catalina spoke quietly. "I need to know something, and I need you to be completely honest." "Anything. Why didn't you come sooner? In 25 years, why didn't you try harder to find me? To fix this?" Elon stopped walking. "Because I thought you hated me. Because your last words to me were that Luna dying was for the best. Because when I tried to call, you wouldn't answer. When I wrote letters, they came back. After a year, I thought you'd moved on, that I needed to respect your choice and leave you alone. But you never forgot me. Never. Not for a single day. Then why did you marry other people?" The question was direct, almost harsh. Elon appreciated the honesty. "Because I was lonely. Because I thought I could replace you. Because I was stupid enough to think that if I couldn't have you, anyone would do." He met her eyes. "I was wrong. None of them were you. None of them understood me the way you did. Those marriages failed because I was trying to force something that couldn't be forced. That's sad, Elon. It's pathetic. I wasted years, mine and theirs, chasing a ghost. Catalina was quiet for a long time. Then, I almost married Marlon for the same reason. Because I thought I could make it work through sheer force of will. Because he was safe and kind and there. Because I was tired of being alone. But you didn't marry him. No, because you showed up and reminded me what real love feels like. The scary, consuming, all-encompassing kind. The kind that doesn't make sense, but feels inevitable. Elon's breath caught. Is that what this is? Love? I don't know yet. It might be the memory of love, or hope for love, or just unfinished business we needed to resolve. Catalina looked at him. But I'm willing to find out. If you are? I am. God, Cat, I am. They started walking again. This time, Catalina slipped her hand into his. It felt like coming home. Over the next 3 months, Elon flew to Vancouver every weekend. Sometimes Catalina would visit him in California. They took it slow. Dinners, good walks, long phone calls that stretched past midnight. They learned each other again. Elon discovered that Catalina loved murder podcasts and horror movies, that she sang off-key in the shower, that she developed a passion for rock climbing, that she still believed in his dreams but had practical questions about implementation. Catalina discovered that Elon still worked too much but was trying to find balance, that he was surprisingly funny in small groups, that he had nightmares about rocket failures, that he'd kept every photo of her from university in a hidden folder on his phone. Sophia joined them sometimes, usually for dinners where she and Elon would debate rocket designs, while Catalina rolled her eyes affectionately. "You two are impossible," she'd say. "Normal people don't argue about thrust-to-weight ratios over pasta." "We're not normal people, Mom," Sophia would reply with a grin. "Don't I know it?" 6 months after the wedding that never was, Elon rented a house in Vancouver. Not selling his California properties, not moving permanently, but creating a home base where he could be close to Catalina. "This is crazy," she told him as he showed her the house. "A beautiful modern place with mountain views. You're restructuring your entire life." "I restructured my entire life once for my dreams. Why not restructure it for love? What if this doesn't work out? Then I'll own a nice house in Vancouver with painful memories. But Kat, I'd rather try and fail than never try at all." 1 year after the wedding, on a clear September night, Elon took Catalina to the roof of his Vancouver house. He'd set up a telescope there, not makeshift like the one from university, but a real, powerful telescope. "What are we looking at?" Catalina asked. "The moon, our Luna." She looked through the telescope, seeing the craters and Maria in sharp detail. When she pulled away, tears streamed down her face. "She would have loved this," Catalina whispered. "Our daughter. She would have loved looking at the stars with her father. I like to think she's up there somewhere, watching, hoping we finally got it right." Catalina turned to him. "Did we? Get it right?" Elon pulled a small box from his pocket. Catalina's hands flew to her mouth. 26 years ago, Elon began, his voice shaking. "I was too scared to commit, too young to understand what I had. I let you go, and it was the biggest mistake of my life." He opened the box, revealing a simple ring with a small diamond. "I'm not scared anymore. I know exactly what I have, and I'm never letting you go again." He got down on one knee. "Catalina Rivera, will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving that I choose you?" Every single day, I choose you." Catalina was crying, laughing, shaking her head in disbelief. "Yes," she said. "Yes, you strange, brilliant, impossible man. Yes." Elon slipped the ring on her finger, and Catalina pulled him to his feet. She wrapped her arms around his neck. "I have one condition," she said. "Anything." "Sophia walks me down the aisle. She's the one who got me through everything. She deserves that honor. Perfect. Absolutely perfect." They kissed under the stars, under the moon that watched over their lost daughter, are surrounded by 26 years of pain and hope and love that refused to die. When they pulled apart, Catalina laughed through her tears. "We're really doing this? After everything, we're really doing this? We're really doing this? People are going to think we're crazy. Let them think what they want. I stopped caring what people think the moment I stood up at your wedding and objected." Catalina touched his face gently. "That was the bravest thing you've ever done. Braver than any rocket launch. It was the easiest thing I've ever done. Because you were worth fighting for. You've always been worth fighting for." 3 months later, they married in a small ceremony in Whistler, the same resort, the same mountains, but this time with the right groom. Sophia walked her mother down the aisle, beaming with pride. See, Elon's mother, May, cried happy tears. Even Sophia, Catalina's college roommate, attended and admitted grudgingly that maybe Elon had changed. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, the crowd laughed. Elon and Catalina just smiled at each other. This time, there were no objections. This time, when Catalina walked down the aisle, she ran the last few steps and threw herself into Elon's arms. The crowd cheered. "I choose you," she whispered against his neck. "I choose you," he whispered back, "every day, forever." They kissed, and somewhere in the mountain wind, it felt like Luna was smiling down on her parents. Finally, together. Finally home. 2 years later, Elon and Catalina stood in mission control at SpaceX, watching the first crewed mission to Mars prepare for launch. Beside them stood Sophia, now an engineer on the very team making the impossible possible. "Dad, look!" Sophia pointed at the screen. "They're naming the spacecraft." On the monitor, the words appeared. "Luna, in memory of dreams not yet realized." Elon and Catalina held hands, tears streaming down their faces. "She's finally going to space," Catalina whispered. "Our daughter. Her name is going to Mars." "She's going home," Elon agreed. As the rocket lifted off, climbing toward the stars, Elon pulled Catalina close. She leaned into him, her head on his shoulder, the circuit board bracelet still on her wrist after all these years. "Thank you for giving the strange boy who loved the stars a second chance," Elon whispered, echoing words from long ago. Catalina smiled through her tears. "Thank you for becoming the man who deserved it." Together, and they watched humanity reach for Mars, their daughter's name leading the way. Proof that some love stories don't end. They just wait for the right moment to begin again. If this story touched your heart, let us know where you're watching from in the comments below. Are you in New York, London, Mumbai, or somewhere else? We love hearing from you. Please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel to help us spread more stories of love, hope, and second chances. Your support means the world to us and helps us reach people who need to hear these messages of kindness. And don't stop here. Click on the video appearing on your screen right now for another incredible story that will move your heart. Thank you for watching, and remember, it's never too late for love.